Said Singapore ranked below Finland, Denmark and Switzerland in a United Nations report on how corrupt a country is. But these countries pay their top civil servants less than Singapore. And this had Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew on his feet and challenging his statements.
Does he realize that Singapore's GDP is only 1/3 of its external trade? That our external trade is 3.5 times that of our GDP, higher than Hong Kong at three times. And that if this economy ever falters, that's the end of Singapore and its first world status. Denmark, Switzerland, and Finland are part of Europe. You can fail and you're still caught in a European situation. If you fail here, you go back to a Southeast Asian situation. Just look around you.
So is the Minister Mentor saying that without paying such a high salary, we were bound to fail? And I do not think even if we pay top earner salaries, can the present government bring Singapore up to superpower as what he has mentioned for those in Denmark?
Mr. Lee.
I'm putting a simple question and ask for his clarification. He has compared Singapore as if it were a Denmark, a Switzerland, or a Finland. Their system, their governments, never produced the kind of transformation that we have. And that their system and their government has a broader base that can afford a mediocre government.
Right, out of Parliament today as well, such detain.
An ungrilled toilet window and not keeping Selamat Kastari in sight in the toilet were among the things that allowed the JI detainee a chance to flee. Those were the findings of the Committee of Inquiry. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong says the key problem behind the whole episode was the mindset of those running the Whitley Road Detention Centre where the fugitive had fled.
Because ISD's focus was on gathering intelligence and rehabilitating detainees, the detention center regime and physical security were different from Changi Prison. And because past detainees like the communist sympathizers were not likely to try to escape, and there had never been an escape from ISD detention, even when Selamat failed to emerge from the toilet, the guards thought that he might have collapsed inside the toilet rather than that he might have run away.
Beyond just fixing problems brought up by the incident, Mr. Lee said the government will have to establish those who are responsible and dish out the needed punishments. While acknowledging that the superintendent of the detention centre and his staff had let their guards down, Mr. Lee stopped short of finger-pointing.
I am satisfied that the ministry has taken the correct remedial and disciplinary action and that the minister and top management were not to blame for what has happened. DPM Wong Kan Seng as the minister and the director of ISD both continue to have my full confidence.
Mr. Lee cautioned against turning the process into a witch hunt, pointing out that the government will not encourage a culture where officials and ministers resign whenever something goes wrong on their watch. This was an issue picked up by several MPs in the House.
We have not lost confidence on the DPM and also ISD. I think they have done a good job, they have a good track record, so that's not the issue here. But I think we also need to send signals correctly, not just to Singaporeans, but to the civil servants and to everyone else in government, that when you make a mistake, you need to be appropriately be punished for it.
I think we will remember that when we debate the ministers early in this House, we were talking about pitching the ministers paid to corporate world, the private world. But in private corporate world, when something goes wrong, heads rolls, it includes the CEO. But whereas here, when something goes wrong, we are talking about honest mistakes. So I think a lot of people, including myself, cannot reconcile the principle on which the government applied in looking at salary of the minister, pitching to corporate world, vis-a-vis when it comes to accountability and responsibility.
I thought the member would eventually come to this question. I have explained where lines have to be drawn. Even the member has not suggested that I should resign because I appointed Wong Kan Seng, and Wong Kan Seng was a minister, and the soldier under him let this happen. A line has to be drawn somewhere. We have to see this in perspective. If there are any questions which he finds unsatisfactory in the answer, he could have pursued the matter. If there are any questions which showed that the DPM was not up to this, that he was to blame, he gave the wrong instructions, he told people not to grill up the window, he suggested that we didn't need so much fencing, therefore this happened. He should have raised it. Nothing happened. Today, the member comes around and throws a general cloud and says, "You are well paid, you should resign." Let me ask the member whether he thinks the DPM ought to resign because of this. No answer. So I think that settles the point.
PM Lee's rallying call, the ISD will recover from this setback and press on with their mission. He urges Singaporeans to give the agency their full support as they have done so in the hunt for Selamat. Tracy Swa, The Straits Times.